a small, concentrated area. And one of the first things we can do is to get people to appreciate the role of their waste can play, their own generated waste from the kitchen. So they've got vegetables, the rinds, the peels, the coffee grounds, all those bits that people perhaps in their experience have done some bit of kitchen waste composting. You've gathered it on noble efforts. People, they gather it by their kitchen sink and they have it for a week, and it smells like a warm fruit salad. And about a week and a half later, it doesn't smell like a warm fruit salad anymore. It smells like the south end of a northbound cow on burrito night. You know, it's nasty. Oh, what is this? Oh my God!
Yes.
You know, it's just like, that's the worst, because that smell is the liquid nitrogen urea. And that's why sewage stinks. It's because it's all that's nutrient. If you smell it, that's the smell of money going away. Right? So compost, if you smell a compost pile and it smells bad, it's not because composting is wrong, it's because the method you employed was correct. Carbon is the essential ingredient in brown stuff. Okay? It's not the little bit of green, the nitrogen, this stuff. This is, bam, no. So we can simply convert this material, which is highly nutrient dense, nitrogen rich. Right now, you put your hand in this smell. It smells like A week later, now you smell it. What's going to be your reaction? If a week later, under the sink.
Not good.
No. No, it's terrible. So we want to bind up that smell though with all of this. Okay? Brown leaves, crushed up brown leaves, not so much paper. All those leaves you've been gathering. So this is the job, is to go up and gather all these brown leaves and just crush them up. Have them ready to go. Brown leaves, with the exception of eucalyptus. Any other leaf is fine. Eucalyptus can have some chemicals that retard growth of other plants. But these brown leaves are just ready in a box, a big bag perhaps. Besides, this is a kitchen waste composting system for kitchen waste. Not talking about yard waste. Yard waste is when you get all the leaves and the grasses and field crops, and you make a big pile. It's a meter by meter by meter. That's important. You're going to get a lot of the actual compost at the end of that process, which will look like this. This is what if we had a lot of that. That is formerly brown and green leaves, okay? Made at the U.S. Embassy in Addis. Okay, we started that in September, and it looks like now. Okay, so that is like adding a sponge to your soil. Absorb water and air, and those plants just to get what they need to be very resilient. Okay, what we're going to get out of the bottom of this system, the kitchen waste, is going to be the liquid drippings through the bottom. And that at the end of 2 months, we'll end up with about this much actual compost. A very small amount of the actual dirt compost. But every single day, you'll get the drippings off the bottom to use as irrigation water. So for kitchen waste composting is actually more like called kitchen waste compost tea. That, oh, by the way, after 3 months, you get a half a bucket of compost. Big fat irrigation. If you want compost, you make it with all the field waste and things that are being burned and gather it up and make it. You end up with, after 3 months, 15 buckets worth of usable compost. That really helps the soil condition of the soil. But what we're going to do is we're going to take, I have so many pockets that I always end up using. We're going, I've given permission to put a hole in the bottom. So this you can go out and you can buy a $10 water drum, or you can get one of these and just say that you have to access these. This is about the minimum size, 5 gallons. You don't want it to be any smaller. So you're going to poke a hole in the bottom. Just a small hole with a sharp knife right at the end. That's it. New hole. Remember where it is. It's here. And in the bottom of this, we're going to form a base of straw and leaves. Grasses, straw, leaf. So see all that over there? It's in this pile of stuff here. We're just going to go and grab all this organic waste and toss it in. A little bit of dirt, no problem. Charcoal, dirt, sticks. A nice base of green stuff and a little bit of brown. And then if you have some manure or some old compost, because when you start doing this after a while, you're gonna have 2 buckets going. So when you finish one, you have some old compost from the previous bucket. You add that to the bottom. All right. So when you first start out, you will, follow a cow around for a while. In this case, we do have this nice compost. Just to get this is just very micro-rich material. I'm going to wash my hands very well after this. Okay. That's just the base. So I have it sitting right here. Now this could be this is your kitchen, this is your house. We just happen to be here because it's nice and shady and stuff, okay? This can be right outside the back door. In an urban setting, it can be near the garden. More convenient to just buy the kitchen, because this is the daily edition thing. And so every day, you have a little container to below it, which I didn't make it deep enough. I realize now. I forgot my container was a jar. You can have just a little basin at the bottom to capture the drippings. That's where they're at here. This can also be a low basin, whatever is convenient. It doesn't have to be these rocks, it can be bricks, it can be a nice table, it can be whatever you want to be convenient. For the sake of our demonstration, a couple of rocks and a tree, okay? So this is the basic idea. You want a base with a hole, and then every day you're coming by. This is in every other day, maybe, every 2 days. Whatever it takes to get about a bucket this much worth of your kitchen scraps. All kinds of stuff in here. Like beans, apple cores, nasty old apple with somebody threw on the ground. Okay. Okay. So here we go. All that veggie waste that would otherwise be just thrown away. Right now, you got to capture all that nutrient in there, all that nitrogen, phosphates, potassiums, micronutrients, water, fiber, all that wonderful stuff is now going to go into your bucket. And this box is full of brown leaves. Carbon material, could be wood chips, brown. A handful of that. Put it over the top. That is going to block the smell. The carbon is going to mix with the nitrogen. And you're not going to have much smell. You then have water from your kitchen. This is kind of dirty because it's been sitting there for a day and a half, 2 days. You clean this out. Put it over the top. All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, how do you deal with meat byproduct? Do you compost that? Okay, because some people do,
right.
And I was just wondering.
No, yeah. Anything will degrade. Meat and oil will, but in a much more aggressive, high temperature controlled situation. This is just for vegetable waste from your kitchen. Eggshells, coffee grounds, eggshells. Really better with those if you take them, put them in the sun for the day. The next day, crush them, add them right to the soil. The eggshell won't really break down in the system. If you have just a few eggshells, throw them in. If you have a lot of eggs, crack them, sun dry, crushed, add to the soil. Now all we're going to do is every day. Now someone can continue to fill this up if you would. Each in there. This is now. That was Monday. Now put in Tuesday and Wednesday worth. You see all that brown leaf we had gathered? There's not much left, is it? You need a surprising amount of brown leaves. Yeah, you go. Put it down.
Get her.
So again, this is just organized in your kitchen. Yeah. After about now, this is now Tuesday. Tuesday, come at night. You come back and you put this on top. Smaller pieces, the better. It's kind of big, so the smaller the better. When you have your brown leaves ready to go, they go on top. Then what do? Clean out the bucket. Mix a little bit of water. Okay, now keep going. Just dump the bag in.
Get in there.
It's looking more complicated than it needs to be.
So
you get the, I know. Remember, this
Teamwork.
is just all you're really having
Number
in your kitchen
8.
is this bucket is being filled up. This is now simulating about a week's worth. Monday and Wednesday. Now this is Friday. I'm not sure I got my days right, but a couple of days, whatever that is. If that's 2 days, if that's 3 days. After a while, you want to cover this in your kitchen because this is going to attract flies. And you don't want to have any smell in your kitchen. It's not aesthetically pleasing. So really, I recommend 2 days, maybe 3. That's about it. Then there's all this liquid there. Water. This goes on top. Waste.
You have that much trash in one day you're doing.
Then there's brown leaves go in. More brown leaves. There aren't any in there, but pretend these are brown leaves. Well, it's brown leaves.
Do you add the water every day, or only when you add new things in?
When you add new things in.
Okay.
Because it just the moisture goes in. Now you see what's happening at the bottom? Again, I'm cleaning out my bucket.
Compost tea.
And I'm forgetting is that, okay, base, then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and each time the cover goes back on. Now as time goes on, this is going to fill up, obviously, but it's also going to break down. So it takes actually a while to fill this up. Because as you add here, this stuff was added now about 3 weeks ago, it's going to be breaking down into mush, goo. And if you pull this back out and you put your head in there, it's going to have a little bit of a ripeness to it. Yes, it's going to have a certain bouquet, which is why you do
Pleasing to
cover it up. The real smell is going to come from the liquid coming out the bottom. So if you find yourself smelling it, it's because you haven't emptied the drain bottom out, little basin. Now this, I have it at a bit of an angle so that it forces the water to come out. You want that water to come out. It's running pretty fast right now because it really hasn't been a week. It's really only been 10 minutes, right? But if it had been a week of additions and slow water adding, that breakdown process would have happened. It would have come together as kind of a gooey, sloppy mess. This is not attractive compost. This stuff that I showed you before was leaf compost, which is dry and crumbly. You just want to jump into it. So you just want to be a carrot.
You just want to be a carrot.
This is, you don't want to be a carrot when you see it. It's like gloppy, it looks like poop, okay? Poop. But it doesn't have a strong offensive odor. And you do then take, at the end of a month, it's about that month, it'll be full. So this bucket comes over here to another system of rocks right here, and a new bucket goes on. Because when this bucket is full, you're still eating vegetables tomorrow. Slides over, you start a new one. While this one, number 2, is cooking and finishing, you still add water over the top, then drip through like a tea bag. You still get this nice stuff out the bottom while you're making bucket number 2. So it's a 2-bucket system.
I was wondering, for compost to work, you also need aeration.
Yeah.
So how's air getting in the bucket?
What happening is basically every time you're doing this, and you can come along with a high-tech stick and kind of do this a little bit. I actually found that because of the opening and closing of this, you're introducing air each time. It's actually not that big of an issue, especially with a small scale like this. And what you get at the bottom is this stuff. Okay? I promise we're going to clean this too. That's all the drippings, the flow through drippings. So the water is being recycled through. Now for the first week, I recommend doing this. Put the water back in. Okay? The water come back through. The water. But after the first week, it's going to start to really break down. You're going to get a much higher bacteria count. The bit of manure you added, some soils you've added, have added the bacteria count. They can start to multiply, and they start creating this composting tea process. And all of this material, when it finally drains through, we'll use this over in our garden. And you take this water. If I had this much tea, you add 3 times again as much water. So 3 to 1, because it's so nutrient dense that it can be too strong for your plants. So you add, but it's an extremely fertile, viable fertigation, chemical fertility, because you're capturing the chemicals out of this, the naturally occurring chemicals, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all those basically micronutrients. You're gathering it in this liquid. And if you were to buy some of this liquid from a garden center, it's like $15 a week. It is extremely potent, viable. It's full of bacteria, microorganisms, and nutrients. That it is extremely valuable. We're going to make it valuable by putting it into the garden and having that value being shown in better carrots and beets and Swiss chard and all these wonderful, diverse vegetables which you're going to help mothers grow, feel empowered, feed their children better and themselves, and oh, by the way, later on, maybe earn some money on selling it. Our goal is not income. It's about nutrition. It's about understanding the role that nutrition plays in our bodies to build strength for our children so they can be better learners, so they can be better engineers and doctors and farmers and whatever they want to be. Because they have a chance, because they're not being stunted by it. So it is this cycle of better living we're talking about. We want empowered, strong individuals. That comes from empowered, strong plants which grow from healthy soil. So our task is to build a healthy soil, put in healthy plants, and the rest just follows on in the cycle. So now we take this, now we'll drip all the way through. All right, so this is kitchen waste compost tea. Now, the next thing we're going to move on quickly to is a little bit about looking at our actual garden soils and a quick, what we call a 30-minute garden day. How do we mix and blend these materials? Something you can actually go and practice this afternoon if you want, tomorrow morning. Okay, so a little bit of the technique, and then we're going to plant a few seeds and call it a day. All right. Meanwhile, this is dripping. Let's go on over here to look at our garden.